nice with the ice so smooth. If you messin' me, you messin' with the goons. Pucks in deep 5-hole, then we celly. Hockey with the boys and we trip like Letter Kenny. With dollar bills, we got the loonies. Paul and Braydon, a couple beauties. Gloves coming off if you wanna tangle, or I can hit you with the dirty dangles. Yeah, this is Dirty Dangles.
What is going on, Dirty Danglers? Welcome back to Season 2 of Dirty Dangles. As always, my name is Paul. To my right is Braydon. Braydon, say hello.
What's going on, man? What's going on, Dirty Danglers? It's awesome being back. First week of hockey underway. Nice to finally be putting another podcast out there. It's going to be a good season.
Yeah, man. I'm really stoked. You know what? Hockey's already underway. You know, we got a lot of good teams, a lot of parity in the NHL. So a lot of you are probably tuning in to see who we got taking each conference this year. We'll get you a lowdown on everything, as always. But, hey, it's Dirty Dangles, and we got segments of Dirty Dangles. Bring what we got.
Well, you know that means Dirty or Dangles time. So Paul and I will just rattle off some things that we think are dirty or dangles. Obviously, dirty is bad, and dangles is awesome. So, Paul, let's get it started. Guys named Mike, dirty or dangles?
You know what? This is a tough one because there's a lot of Mikes out there, and I've been with some good Mikes, and they're hard workers. Shout out Mike from Landscaping Company. But you know what? There's also a lot of Mikes that like to start some ruckus. You know, I knew a Mike that lost a lot of money in Vegas on strippers. Yeah.
Oh, man, you must have been a good time to party with.
I use just stories. I mean, I never partied with the guy.
Oh. All right. Well, in that case, yeah, I'd have to tend to agree. Yeah, there's some Mikes that are pretty hardworking dudes, absolutely. But there's also those Mikes that can be douchebags. They're all over the place, right? So I mean, it's a little bit of both of dirty and dangles for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So next on the list, we have girls that ask what your zodiac sign are.
Oh man. Okay, this is a common thing that I've found. It's like, listen, it's not actually true. Like, and I just personally think it's all, you know, bullcrap. I've heard people say, yeah, but no. But you know what? That's just my belief. And yeah, I say dirty.
Yeah, I think it's dirty as well. It's funny that you said that because earlier today I was just for laughs. I had a look at the newspaper at work and saw my zodiac sign. And I was just like, oh, let's see what it says. It said like chaos in the next 6 weeks for me, and so I was just like, okay, I don't know if this is accurate. So yeah, I'm just kind of gonna just push this to the side. So it's kind of weird how they actually come up with stuff like this. So yeah.
I mean, chaos, man.
Chaos.
Damn.
Yeah, it was kind of bizarre to watch. I was like, I hope this is not true. So I'm going to say dirty on that as well.
Yeah, you know what? That is totally false, Braydon. I say you should actually probably go to a bar. Definitely won't get into a fight. I mean, because that thing's not true, right?
Oh, exactly. Oh,
unless
God,
it is.
No. Oh, man. I have to get really drunk for that.
Yeah.
All right, man. So next one is hops and beers.
Yeah, you know what? I'm a lager guy. And usually they never get the ratio right with hops. And like, I've never really had one that I felt was really good or I really, really liked it. Mind you, I can't even really remember. What's your take?
Yeah, there's something for me, I'm not much for hops personally. Like you said, like you're a lager. Like I like lagers as well. Ales are kind of hitting me pretty good now too. So I don't know. I just haven't really found a beer with hops in it that I've really enjoyed. So at the moment, I have to say dirty, but I'm open-minded to trying new beers. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
All right. Well, that's enough for a little bit of dirty dangles, but you guys get the idea. You know, some things are dirty and some things are dangles.
Yeah. All right. So next, I actually was able to attend the first game of the Kelowna Rockets this year, season opener at home, right?
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was against the Spokane Chiefs. Man, was that an amazing game.
Yeah, I mean, I was pretty jealous because I couldn't make it. And yeah, and then you're going to tell our viewers what happened. It was a heck of a game.
Oh, man. I mean, I'll get to what happened in the ending a little later, but what I saw was they're a small team. I won't lie. They're small, but they're very skilled. Compared to Spokane had quite a few bigger guys on that team, so they kind of had to use their speed a little bit more than their physical strength, even though they do have some big guys like Cade and Korzak. Man, what a gamer this guy is. He's massive, and he has a bomb of a shot at the back end. Their D, I was pleasantly surprised. Granted, they didn't have Nolan Foote playing, so that kind of held them back too. But what happened in that game was they only scored all their goals on the power play, which is kind of interesting. So things are gonna have to change on their 5-on-5. But like I said, Spokane was a bigger team. Their defense was big, so they were playing really well. But they had big guys. Like one guy that really caught my attention was Alex Svetlikov. Man, this guy, there's something about him. He goes to the net hard. He has a good shot. His IQ just looked amazing out there. So I was really impressed with his play. He was on like the either on the first or second line.
Yeah,
he was making. Yeah,
I believe Svetlikov. Is that how you say it?
Yeah,
sweet, got it. He was on the first checking line, which was the second line that they matched up against Spokane's top line, and they did a great job because that Spokane, say it right, was pretty highly touted, and they definitely shut him down. So it looks like he's going to be on that shutdown line from moving forward here.
Absolutely, but I think his role might go down a little bit now that Nolan Foote is back from Tampa Bay. So we'll see how that goes. But another guy that really impressed me was their goalie, Roman Bazran. Man, this guy moves side to side amazingly. He's always squared to the puck. He just really impressed me as well. He made some really key saves. It was really good hockey to watch. But towards the end of the game, it was like the last 10 seconds, Kelowna had the puck in the Spokane end, and with less like 1/10 of a second to go, they scored. It was a video review and everything. It was amazing to see in overtime as well. Almost to a shootout, which would have been really cool to see, but 1/10 of a second left in overtime, and they scored a win. Man, that was something to watch.
Yeah, and when I heard that, because I remember he got in my truck, I was driving home, and I wanted to listen to it on the radio, and then I just said, you know what, I'm sure you'll tell me about it. And then I heard that they won in overtime with a 1/10 of a second, and I was like,
it was cool to see some 3-on-3. But the thing is with Kelowna too, I think they're really gonna have something to prove because the Memorial Cup is getting played here this year. So there's definitely gonna be some improvements to be made, and Adam Foote's definitely the guy that can do it. And Nolan Foote's gonna put up numbers, so it's gonna be a really fun season for the Kelowna Rockets.
Yeah, I mean, so the goalie, is he over 6 feet? You'd say, or he's just a very agile?
6'2".
Oh, okay,
6'2",
nice.
moves laterally very well, so it was really cool to watch. Like, he made some really key saves.
So yeah, definitely check out the Rockets this year. They have a lot of motivation, like you said, with that Memorial Cup that they're hosting. They're definitely going to want to make the playoffs and make a run. So,
well, also watch out for Trevor Wong. He's 16 years old, and this guy is quick, man. He's going to be a player for this team in the future for sure.
Is he a shifty winger? You think?
Yeah, absolutely. The guy's quick. He can move up and down the ice, no problem. He's good. His puck handling ability is really, really well done as well.
Nice.
For 16 years old, this guy's gonna be a good player.
Yeah, usually I find at that age you can tell the good guys by like how well they skate, how well they move side to side, good lateral skating, right? Like that's huge. And yeah, I mean, at 16, it sounds like he's gonna be a player for them. They're gonna need him this year too.
Absolutely.
But
yeah,
great. All right, well, let's get over to the NHL here and talk a little bit about. Do you want to cover some RFAs?
Yeah, let's do it. So with the RFA situation finally finished, with Marner being the first big name to drop after, what was it, 6 years, 10.6 million?
Yeah.
It was, yeah. So what would you think about the contract, Paul?
I mean, you know what? They definitely set the number with Matthews, and that being about 11.6 for 5 years. Right, so at that point, if you're Marner, you'll take a little less, but to a point, right? And they did get the extra year if you're going to compare it to Matthews, but I'd still say, you know what, you gotta give Toronto a little bit more. I mean, there's a lot of opportunity for him to make that money, and after you see all the other guys sign, granted it was for less term, they didn't get nearly as much as him. No,
and the thing with Marner is that I feel like Toronto may have had the upper hand in certain situations because at the same time, apparently, this is what I heard, is Marner declined 2 offers from I don't know if it's for sure, but it was the New York Islanders and Minnesota Wild who offered him a contract, and and he declined them, obviously. So in that case, I feel like Toronto may have had the upper hand. And honestly, it's not a bad deal for Marner. This guy can put up 100 points, no problem. So $10.6 million for 6 years, it's kind of a bargain, because if you think about it, at the same time, Tavares' deal is going to be done at the same time Marner is, and Marner's going to fetch a little bit more money, and the cap space is going to be there when that does happen. So yeah, I think it was a fair deal at this time.
Yeah, so like we said, after the Marner contract, a bunch of other ones followed. And, well, the first one to really drop, I think, was the Brock Besser deal, right?
That's right, yeah. So Besser got three years at $5.875 million, which is honestly a lot better than I thought it was going to be. Granted, it is a bridge deal, but at the same time, like, I thought Besser was at least going to get over $6 million.
Yeah, you know what? And there's actually some risk with the agent, right? Like, the agent was trying to go 7x6, and then, they just couldn't run that number at the draft, and then the Canucks signed a bunch of guys, and they didn't even have the cap space to get them through 6 years. So it's kind of how it goes right now.
Yeah, I guess so. After a name that also dropped was Matthew Tkachuk, who signed for three years as well, but at $7 million, which I think is a fair contract. I mean, for Tkachuk too, because Tkachuk is a really good player for Calgary. He's such a versatile winger, and he's definitely a power forward that a lot of guys want, or a lot of teams want. And he's such a nice complementary player, especially on the power play. Man, him playing on the power play is awesome with Gaudreau and Monahan. It just sets the tone for that so well.
Yeah, and we'll quickly drop a bunch of these other ones here. Timo Meier, 4 times $6 million. Brayden Point, 3 times $6.75 million. Patrick Laine, 2 times $6.75 million. And Kyle Connor got 7 times 7. So not the same kind of contract structure, but for the most part, all these RFAs took the same structure. And the deal is that a lot of them had it so that their base salary in the last year of their contract was a pretty hefty value. For instance, Brock Besser's getting $7.5 million in his last year. Brayden Point's getting $9 million in his last year. Now, what this means is that the following year, as they go through arbitration, they are entitled to the money they made in the last year, at least. So pretty much these players are guaranteed that $9 million, $7.5 million, and so forth.
Which is kind of amazing, because if you look at what Timo Meier's getting in his last year, $10 million, that's it's going to be a nice contract for him after this. So,
yeah, and you definitely got to wonder. I mean, that's only if he goes through arbitration. I mean, a lot of these players, they're probably going to get signed to extensions early, because that last year of RFA is basically a UFA year, just in terms of how much salary it's going to cost the team.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's basically a UFA year,
yeah,
but team controlled.
So, Paul, let's kind of ask the question: what did you think of the whole RFA situation and how it really transpired?
I mean, I wasn't that surprised, just because I know there's so many people looking at every single aspect of it, right? Like, a big problem among these RFAs is they'll sign these big ticket deals through 6 or 7 years, and they'll have no trade clauses once they turn 26, because they're allowed no trade clauses. But before then, by CBA rules, they aren't allowed to sign a no trade clause. So a lot of these teams just trade them while they still have that value before they go to that no trade clause status. So in order to kind of get around that, a lot of these RFAs are just, hiking up their salary in the last year of their deal so that, teams don't want to trade for them. So it makes sense, in hindsight, should have some teams gone after and made a bigger splash? Yeah, maybe, but the market was set so high that the only way to sign these guys to offer sheets, the only way these guys would have taken it is if they signed to 5 or 6 years.
So with all these kind of 3 and 2 year contracts, are you kind of surprised that not one of these guys actually went the distance to December 1st, kind of exactly like Nylander did last year. Like, because I had a feeling that maybe Mikko Rantanen would have done that. Kind of had a feeling that if Besser wasn't getting the money or the years that he wanted, I thought he may have done that as well. Yeah, it could have hurt their value, but are you a little bit not surprised that some of these players did not go the distance?
Yeah, just because there were teams that didn't spend to the cap, so they could have actually put out an offer sheet still. And it would have been along the lines of, a shorter term, higher AAV. Just basically something that would have kind of screwed the franchise. But anyhow, do you want to get some regular season talk?
Yeah, let's do it. All right, so we want to give you kind of a breakdown and just an idea of who we think are going to be the best teams in their specific conferences. So, Paul, for the Atlantic, who do you like coming out of there?
All right, Atlantic is the best conference division, in hockey. Would you agree?
Yes, I definitely would agree.
Yeah, you know what? Tampa Bay, they may have got swept last year, but they're my front runner. I really like Tampa. I think they got a complete team. They brought in some defensemen like Shattenkirk, Luke Shen, although he did not make opening night roster. I really like kind of the depth pieces they have, and of course they have talent up front that's underrated. Being Cirelli, Yanni Gord, and obviously Braden Point's huge centerpiece for them. I just think Tampa, they were unstoppable last year during the regular season. I see no slowing them down this year.
No, not at all. And I can't really add any more to that because they're the front runners in my opinion as well. But also watch out for a team like Florida this year. Florida is definitely going to be a good team, especially with the addition of Bobrovsky and the addition of a new head coach in Joel Quenneville. He's definitely going to turn that team around. And believe me, I have a strong feeling that Florida is definitely going to be in the playoffs this year. They're just the depth that they have. Yeah, Aaron Ekblad isn't like the defenseman that they wanted in right now. But he's definitely a good defenseman and he can help them on the back end. It's just their whole team dynamic with Barkov leading the way. It's honestly, it's going to be a good year for them. It really is.
Yeah, they just have a ton of games in their own division, right? So with a lot of these divisions also, when we're talking about them, like we'll name certain teams that we like, but it depends how well they play against the top teams in their division. That's really what's going to make or break whether or not they win their division or not.
Yeah. That
being said, I feel the Atlantic's probably the easiest to predict, at least in the top four.
Yeah, because I don't know about you, but I also have Toronto and Boston as well.
Yeah, I'll just say quickly, I got in this order: Tampa, Toronto, and then Boston, and then Florida.
Yeah,
making the playoffs.
I'd have to agree. It's really interchangeable with Boston and Florida, but that's pretty much what I have as well. Absolutely.
Yeah, Boston's always shown that they're a team that runs on team chemistry.
Exactly.
And that's the only thing that's kind of up in the air of Florida right now. But you know what? There's a ton of these teams that, second half of the year, they really get her going. And Florida's been known to be that team in the past, so...
But also Toronto does have something to prove this year with all the additions that they have made with Tyson Barrie and all these expiring contracts. It's like, for me, it's either they make it to the conference final or it's kind of a bust. So it's just with everything that they have going on right now, they have to do something well in the playoffs this year.
Yeah, for sure. So moving on now to the Metro.
All right. So for me, I think I'd have to have Washington coming out of that. They're just so good, and I think with Holtby and Ilya Samsonov, their rookie goalie, as their backup, I think it's going to be interesting to see that tandem going and having Samsonov play multiple games and get some reps in. I think things are going to change for that team. They're just so dominant on the power play. Their back end is great. Ovi is a goal-scoring machine. It's just going to be a really fun year for Washington once again.
One thing I was concerned with is you look at teams going from year to year, and people point to the star players as being the real change, but a lot of the times it's just having the complementary pieces strike. For instance, Calgary, we'll get into them, but part of the reason they made the playoffs last year was they had that depth scoring. I think Washington's actually lost a little bit of their depth scoring. You know, Brett Connolly was a huge piece on that team, and he's in Florida now, which is another reason I think Florida's going to do good. But to me, I have a hard time with the Metro. I think Washington's one of those teams where their power play is just too good, and I do have them in a playoff spot, but I do not see them winning that division.
I feel like it's really hard to argue it though at the same time because personally, there's a chance that Pittsburgh doesn't even make the playoffs, and there's New Jersey who added quite a bit, so I think they may push for it. As long as Corey Schneider and Mackenzie Blackwood play well in net.
Yeah, and their defense is new. I don't even think their defense is that good.
No, not even with the addition of Subban. I don't think. I mean, he's going to be good on the power play, but defensively, he's not going to be there, I don't think.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so who do you have win that Metro?
I have Washington.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and say it's going to be Philadelphia.
Why do you say that?
All right, Carter Hart, new head coach, Alain Vigneault.
Right.
All right, Konechny is a player. They also have Morgan Frost, who I think is going to jump into the lineup soon.
Well, I was going to ask if he made the team or not.
I'm not too sure, but I just know he's a great player, and maybe not a great player. He's a good player.
He did well in the World Juniors last year, so yeah, he's a pretty good player.
Yeah, and I mean they're still waiting on a couple pieces to really hit for them. They had some good D-men show up last year in Sanheim, and you know what? I think this is just a team that Vigneault looked at when he got hired, and he's like, I can make this a playoff team. And, he could do the Trotz effect, too, where they could go from not making the playoffs to division winners, and that's exactly what I think is going to happen.
No, it's a very viable option, man. Like, Carter Hart, if he has a stellar season, they can definitely win it. Because, like I said, Pittsburgh... maybe I don't even think the Islanders will make the playoffs again. Same with the Rangers. That's kind of up in the air as well. So there's not much competition. So it's definitely Phillies for the taking as well as Washington. So we'll see what happens. But let's move over to the Central Division or Conference. Who do you have coming out of that?
All right. I mean, the Central is a tough one because like a lot of these teams are so good defensively where when they have those head-to-head division matchups, it's a coin toss. Like St. Louis and Nashville, like who'd win in a game against those two teams? Like you never know, right? They're just two really well-constructed defensive teams. That being said, I think you got to go with the defending champs. I mean, this is a team that plays the right way, and I know Dallas is good. People like Dallas, but I mean, St. Louis is a team. And they're constructed well.
Yeah, for me, though, it's I'm a guy that doesn't necessarily go off one good season. And why I'm saying that is Jordan Binnington. He played half a season. Yeah, he played well. But for me, I always I don't take those guys that have one good season and haven't played before as well. So I'm hesitant to say St. Louis, even though their defense is awesome as well, especially with the addition of Justin Falk. That was a great trade for St. Louis to add that power play depth and that scoring touch on the back end for sure. However, you mentioned Dallas. Dallas just picked up Joe Pavelski, who is also a goal-scoring machine. For him playing on the power play as well with Sagan, Ben, or just being on a line with Radulov, it's going to up his game, I feel. And especially with the play of Ben Bishop, this team is destined for the playoffs this year. With their back end with Heiskanen, Klingberg, Lindell, these guys are definitely going to up the bar a little bit, and they're definitely going to make the playoffs. That's my prediction anyways, because Dallas just has a complete team.
Yeah, you know what? And also their goaltending is top-notch.
Yeah, well, like I said, Ben Bishop, man, like he gets shutouts left, right, and center, and he just makes these big saves. He's such a big goalie. This guy's going to play well.
He's 6'7", right?
Yeah, I think so.
I think NHL.com or whatever, I saw something where they said like the greatest players of all time by their size, and Ben Bishop was actually up there. I believe he was the greatest that they denoted as 6'7".
I can see why. This guy's been consistent.
Yeah, we definitely like Ben Bishop. Moving on though, Pacific Division, my Vancouver Canucks
Okay, what do you think, Paul?
All right, so we traded our first round pick, right?
Yes.
And we got Miller.
Yeah.
And you know what? They might actually get a lottery pick. You know, and it's obviously going to be protected, but they might get a lottery pick next year. And I'm just getting into it. I don't think the Canucks really have what it takes to make the playoffs just because we're such a young team. And usually young teams start out good and then they tail off, right? Like, you need to see a team such as St. Louis, who they end the season strong, such as Florida, who end the season strong. I just don't feel like we can play 82 games and get into the playoffs. So, unfortunately, I don't have us in there.
Yeah, I can see that as well. There is a chance because I think for the Pacific, Vancouver will be the team that just doesn't make it. But if they do make it, it's probably going to be a four-game sweep or a 5-game, and it's just not going to end well.
Also, there's a lot of good teams in that Central Division.
Well, yeah, exactly. Then, who you have in the Pacific is I like Calgary. Or, no, sorry, I should say Vegas. Vegas has a team now. Marc-Andre Fleury is playing great. They have that line with Pacioretty, Stone, and Stastny.
Stone is probably one of the best defensive wingers in the NHL.
The guy's great, man. This team has so much depth in it, especially from the expansion draft a couple years ago. I can't say enough about this team now because of all the additions that they made and all the additions they could make. And there's just something about Vegas, man. They're gonna take it.
Yeah, I mean, it's all based on, Fleury being healthy because there's a big drop-off from Fleury to...
Malcolm Subban still?
Yeah, big drop-off there. So let's hope Fleury stays healthy. I also have Vegas a shoo-in to win that.
Yeah.
I mean, I like the Sharks, but I just feel like defensively, I mean, they're going to lose a lot of games based on their defense.
And goaltender.
And their goaltending, yeah, it all goes hand in hand. And I just think Vegas is a shoo-in to win that division.
Absolutely.
Like, if there's any shoo-in out of, honestly, even Tampa, I have Vegas as a shoo-in to win this division.
Yeah, no, I agree. I do have Calgary right behind them because Calgary's a very good all-around team. They just have all the pieces there. The depth is there as well. So, yeah, I strongly believe that Vegas will take it as well. With a few teams on the bubble, that'll probably be early exits in the playoffs.
Yeah, you know what? Calgary, I really like the way they construct their team. Although they have a bunch of smaller guys, that Dylan Dubé center in that third line, that is the kind of structure I want to see on the Canucks. I want to see 3 scoring lines. And unfortunately, we don't have guys like that game in, game out have, score and prowess on that third line,
Yeah. And also, I'm reluctant to say, watch out for Edmonton with new coach. Draisaitl played well his first game against Vancouver, and there's going to be some differences in Edmonton. So
yeah, and we were able to see a couple of games before we made this, obviously, and I definitely hiked Edmonton up there a little bit, even after watching that first game, just because I saw what Tippett did with the defensive structure. It seemed like everybody had their guy. It seemed like he's a defensive coach. And
I will say, though, Adam Larson did get injured, and he's out for 6 to 8 weeks now. So that's going to take a hit on their back end as well. So with the defensive coach of Dave Tippett, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, but I mean,
team.
That is a loss for them. But at the same time, this is a team that just doesn't have a power play D.
No.
And hopefully they have that in Bouchard, or maybe not, hopefully, since I'm a Canuck fan.
Exactly.
But... You know what? You just side this team when you see them on the power play and their D-men. They just need puck movers.
Absolutely. Well, I think that's all we wanted to cover for this podcast, eh, Paul?
Yeah, no, for sure.
Okay. So with that being said, we really appreciate the listen. Be sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at dirtydangleshp. We'd love to hear from you. We want to get you guys involved in some way. Also, check us out on YouTube where you guys can subscribe and like us. Also hit the ringer bell on YouTube so you get so you always can get the emails right away when we post a video. So also be sure to give us a comment, do whatever. I'll reiterate this. We really want you guys to be a part of the show. But with that being said, thanks for the listen once again. Until next time, Dirty
Dangles.